Welcome back, guys. We're joined today by Rational FX's CEO, Paresh, who's come to talk with us about everything going on in the marketplace, tips and tricks on what to do to go out and get positions, and overall some just good advice for candidates in the marketplace. So welcome, Paresh.
Thank you.
I'm keen just to find out more about yourself, your background and your experience. So what brought you to FX? What made you join the industry?
Money. Well, I was 24 when we started the company, Rational FX, in 2005, and I would only graduated a few years previous, and I met my business partner at our previous employment, and I had a degree in computer science, and he had a tech background, and we decided that we could potentially do this business but offer an online service which wasn't available at the time.
So even back in 2005 you were thinking about technology, it was very voice broken then, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And actually there's still a press release that said that we were the first company to ever launch a online platform to private individuals in the UK. So it wasn't the best system or anything. There was a lot of manual work going on in the background, but we launched it nonetheless. But people still prefer to do their transactions over the phone.
So that would have led you into, obviously, recession, 2005 starting. I think 2007, 2008, we hit a tough time, similar time that I joined the industry. So that was probably your first big challenge as a business owner coming into the marketplace. How did you navigate yourself through those tricky waters?
We had a really good run when we started, and we were only targeting private customers buying overseas properties. But just prior to recession, we decided that we were going to venture into business customers. So we actually got a sizable team. Well, when I say sizable, like 15 people, just cold calling businesses. So by the time recession happened and people had stopped buying overseas properties, or there was still here and there a trickle of people doing it, we had a constant book of clients that were now buying through us to cater for their business payments, which really saw us through, and then we pushed on that and grew it over a given period of time.
So you've been in the industry a really long time. You must have interviewed a billion different people. Can you tell me about the best interview you've ever had, what they did to impress you and why you hired them?
So the easy answer would be to say yourself.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Over the years, although I may have had a number of different job titles, sales director, ops director, and then CEO, you end up wearing a lot of hats throughout the process. You're involved in various interviews. So I've interviewed and employed people on the spot, and sometimes not because they're amazing or they've answered all the right questions, but simply because they can fill the role, and your gut tells you that that they're educated enough to do that role. And in fact, those people have been with us the longest.
Wow.
So we're talking 10 years plus. But salespeople are the most difficult to, I believe, interview because they love selling themselves. They love to assume that they're going to be amazing at what they do, which is great to have that confidence. But I think that it's also important to bring yourself a little bit down to earth, understand what you can potentially learn from where you're joining and add value. But it would be very difficult for me to name someone out and say, they were the perfect interviewee and I was super impressed with them, to be honest.
So I guess you're saying there isn't a perfect interviewee, that recruitment is kind of recruiting for everyone. It's not just one fixed model of this person fits, So candidates rather, shouldn't necessarily fit into what they expect you to want, rather just go along and be themselves, and if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That's probably the preferred route of interviewing, would you say?
I 100% agree with that. I mean, I think the best thing about having a few people interview one person is the fact that they all bring something different to the table. So, someone might bring the technical knowledge, someone might bring something around culture, and someone else might just have a gut feeling of why you could fit within the organisation. And all those things are important.
Or on the flip side of why they wouldn't fit.
Yeah,
if
exactly
someone in particular clocked something a little bit different.
Yeah, I had someone come in not so long ago and turn around to our head of HR, who kindly gave them a coffee and said, "Thanks, darling," which was
we addressed this one in I think our last videos, like people using things like dude, mate,
Darling, no.
darling, hun, it's,
Didn't go down well.
it's.
Oh, no.
When you started off in the industry, how does it differ from then and now? Like, what are the biggest changes and biggest developments you've seen so far?
Fintech didn't exist. So the word fintech didn't exist.
Yeah.
So if you imagine, we started in 2005 and the iPhone only came out in 2007 or 2008, 2007. So the concept of actually even watching things on your phone was unheard of. So all of that came only in from 2007, 2008 onwards. So the industry's changed massively. In 2007, we launched prepaid cards, which we closed a year later. But the fact is that prepaid card became super popular when Revolut did it in 2015 or something like that.
Yeah.
And now they're worth 33 billion, so well done.
I was going to say, did you regret not carrying on with the prepaid cards,
And also we launched ZenPay in 2012, and then came along TransferWise, who were a direct competitor of ZenPay, and who are now worth £5 billion. So
Also well done.
Shout out to those.
It's changed a hell of a lot. Huge amount of VC, PE investment going into this market globally. So it's grown not just in the UK, although I think UK still remains as number one, but obviously in the US and even countries like India and other countries around Asia as well. It's just a huge market now.
Yeah, there's a lot of development going on, and there's a lot of money being thrown into the technology that backs it for sure, as the companies you've just mentioned.
Yeah, and from a regulatory perspective as well, big change. So obviously when we started, only HMRC were regulating this industry, and you only had to write a £35 check and send it to them. And very often we ended up educating them more than they educated us. But then the FCA came in 2009, which was actually welcomed, especially by us, because it gave us the ability to passport our services across Europe, which really helped us grow. So Brexit was not great. But, that's another change that's happened. So these are all peaks and troughs along the way, but lots of changes.
I think that leads us on to really talking about what does the future hold. I mean, everyone's always, in my career, I've always said 5 years' time, this industry won't exist, the banks will swallow it up, but it's never happened. It's evolving.
We hear it every year, don't we?
Yeah,
cold calling's dead, markets dying. In 10 years' time, you won't even have a job, What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think that we're quite a long way away from it dying. We ourselves have a number of banks that use our services, our rails, our infrastructure to make payments, and sometimes even for liquidity, so to buy currency. We have seen a number of banks invest into this space or buy companies as well. So they're trying to stay within that sort of framework, or that whole point around them having legacy systems and not being able to implement more sophisticated or better platforms within their own system is true. That, they're struggling with that, but it's changing all the time. Swift isn't as popular anymore. It's now all about local payments, APIs, things like that.
I think APIs is what we're seeing as a real big movement in the market. Is a lot of people are utilising automation and plugging APIs in so they can automate all those internal and external payments. And is that something Rational's going down the route of as well to focus on?
We've done it. So I was saying to someone else earlier as well that we went from a team of 10 to 12 payments people to basically 1 to 2. Yeah,
because of all the automation and everything that's taken over.
So there's no touch points unless it falls out into an error queue. But 93+% goes straight through.
Most of it can be automated.
Where do you see the risk coming from? Because I think when I first started out, the risk was very much in the people, when we're going to market voice broking. Now with APIs automation, where's the risk for a big firm like Rational when you're going to market? What do you see as the concerns for yourself as a business owner?
I think people are still a concern. We still want to attract the best talent. We still want people and nurture people and grow people within within the company. I think that there's a risk around self-funded businesses like ourselves in terms of ensuring that we keep up with the changes and the innovation that's happening in the...
Because it's not cheap to do the technology, is it? You've got to have full development teams behind you, and you've got to build that out. But then I guess the reward for staff is gone the moment you're no longer private, right? You know, that's probably a big plus point for people to join Rational, is the fact you are still privately backed and privately owned.
We've launched stock options, so everyone has... We're one of, I think the only, it's very rare for a private company to offer stock options.
I've not seen it, to be fair, yeah, that's...
So we've done that, and you know, we're hoping that everyone can benefit from when we do potentially have a sale or some sort of exit. So, yeah.
I shouldn't have left.
So we just explored, you know, the last sort of decade or so in this industry. Obviously keen to just talk to different directors in the market to see what they think is the future of our industry. So what are we looking at over the next 10 years, the next decade in FX and payments specifically?
In the sense of what we would offer as a company, or?
Yeah, as a company to your customers, to your staff. Overall, just kind of giving individuals a clear picture. Those that might be interested in joining Rational, you know, what are going to be the key fundamental factors over the next 10 years as maybe why someone would join Rational FX?
I think there's always going to be that element of sales, whether you're selling directly to a business in terms of offering them forward spots, things like that, or whether you're going and selling API solutions and you know, banking as a service, things like that. But there always is going to be an element of sales required. That it's never going to be fully automated.
So we're now looking at a market where we have to kind of, I guess, blend the best of what the talent has brought to the table, as well as what the technology brings to the table. Is kind of finds the space that everyone fits in there. Because I think that's where we're not there yet. I think lots of salespeople think that they're going to get replaced by technology, and I think lots of technology isn't quite doing the job of salespeople yet, you know, even though it might come with the promise. Yeah. So, you know, in your opinion, I guess, what's going to be important for you? Is it people, or is it technology, you know, or is it blending the both?
Even if we look at companies that only offer a platform type service, which have grown significantly, they still only offer spot transactions. Yeah. They don't offer forward contracts. They offer limit orders on spot contracts. Yeah. You know, that hand-holding service that customers get that are doing larger amounts is still wanted out there.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, at this moment, I mean, a lot of people have been saying it for years. Oh, that's going to die, and people are happy doing. Yes, definitely, people like doing transactions online. They will do spot transactions online when it's easy, etc. And it's so easy now to go online and compare and see who's offering you the best rate on a spot transaction. But when you are doing over a certain amount, and you want to discuss forward contracts and things like that, that element of actually having someone to speak to goes a long way.
There is the big part as well, is that CFOs and FDs and stuff like that will have a million and one things to be doing, and they can't also keep staring at FX charts all day. So having that personal interaction of someone calling them up at the right times also, I don't think is going anywhere.
So it depends as well then on what size of business you're actually going to pursue. So yes, if you're pursuing that really large corporate, you know, that enterprise business, you're absolutely right. They don't, you know, sometimes they lack the expertise in terms of having that specialist treasury team, or they may not have all the banking facilities around it, or they may not have the direct relationships to do local payment. You know, there's a lot of things, small elements that they could potentially be missing, which, you know, that's why companies like us exist, that can plug in those sort of points. But going back to people, it's people that bring all that together. That's in a nutshell, that's what it is, you know. I've looked into like thinking, can we do PPC campaigns or anything like that, targeting CFOs and things like that? Always unsuccessful. Always unsuccessful.
Well, I think they say that the old PPC and SEO kind of world is dead now. It's all content, isn't it? It's if you deliver and put out good content now, you generate the right inquiries, but it's not. The market for marketing's changed. You know, it's not for likes anymore. It's not for shares. It's to create valuable, you know, content and information to the audiences you're looking to approach. You know, so I think the world has very much moved on from those days.
So if you were to give any advice to candidates looking to get into the industry for the first time who may have had a bit of sales experience or who are fresh, just wanting to get into deliverable FX and the fintech industry, what are the sort of 3 key points or key bits of advice you would give these individuals?
I think have the right attitude, like a willingness to learn, be ready to be challenged, have resilience, as you said. So like be thick-skinned, because you get a lot of rejection, especially if you're hitting the phone. And you can really do well, but I think that the biggest problem I think sometimes with the people that are coming straight out of university is that they think that, you know, they're going in for maybe a 9-to-5 job and they think they're going to do all right out of that and, you know, twiddle their thumbs like some of the day and, you know, do a few calls. Doesn't work like that. If you want to be successful, you've got to put the time in, you've got to put the effort in, you've got to be there after hours, and 100% you'll see the rewards.
Well, see, we're seeing a lot of trend at the moment, particularly grads, juniors. They come to market nowadays and they want everything from the get-go. You know, they want the salary, they want the flexibility. They've only come straight from uni, they have no necessary experience, and, you know, we're finding it quite challenging as a recruitment business to kind of mitigate these waters, because, you know, how do you say to someone who believes these things that, like, the work starts now? You know, university was prepping you for coming into the working force and to get used to this career options. You know, I'm finding that there's a lot of struggle in just getting the right attitudes nowadays of, yeah, I've got 2 years of absolute graft and hard work before I've earned the respect where I can work a little bit more relaxed and fit into this lifestyle. You know, people are seeing these senior dealers that have been doing it for 15 years and expecting them to have that in 6 months' time, you know, and that's the attitude that I'm struggling with at the moment in terms of, you know, finding good talent. Do you see that coming into Rational's office for interviews very often, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have people that have even worked at other FX companies who have been given a book, for example, to manage, etc. And all of a sudden they think that that's all because of them.
Yeah.
And they think that naturally they're going to go somewhere else and make loads of money and they should be worth that. And
this is a controversial one, but it's a challenge in FX, because, you know, you do have those guys that have been loyal to you over 5 years that have adopted the books of the people that have left, because obviously you have that need as a business, but that does create an atmosphere and I guess a vibe in people's minds that they're better than they potentially are. So they're managing, let's say, a £300,000 book that's been gradually handed to them over 3-4 years. And then they move to a new role and they're kind of expected to onboard and bring new business and create relationships. And they realise that they've not been doing 50% of the job for so long. So we are seeing a lot of people move job to job, you know, 6 months here, 12 months there. And it is just a case of finding the right job for them. But they're taking the job that offers the 5K increases, 10K increases, you know, leave their commission books behind. And, you know, we're just seeing weakened mentalities in the market. So I'm assuming that's something that you've seen while interviewing as well.
I think that they need to understand as well that employers as well are not stupid.
Yeah.
And you know, if I have to pay above what I feel someone's worth,
Yeah.
I'm going to expect them to work for that money.
Yeah, and candidates don't expect that, right? High salary comes high targets, you know. So if you're going to ask for it, be sure you can prepare for it, you know.
So if you're looking for a career and longevity in this industry, then work for it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. You have to work for it. Don't think that it's going to be handed to you, because that doesn't happen.
The best advice I was ever given when I came in to years ago when I joined Global Reach, my boss at the time, Bill Kemp, he'll hate me for quoting him on that, but he said to me, like, you should throw yourself into the hardest job you could possibly find while you're young. You've got the energy, you know, you've got the drive to do it. Why would you want an easy job now? You know, because you do it hard now, the rest of your career is easy. And he was completely right, you know, like that's. I won't admit that. I suppose I already have now. Sorry, Bill, but you know, he helped me out in my career a lot, you know, by giving me that advice, because that just drove me moving forwards. And I'm finding a lot of good advice is given out to candidates nowadays. I think it's biased advice on what's going to help them grow. Yeah. What advice would you give a candidate coming into the marketplace? You know, what's the key thing for you that they should be focused on when looking for a job and when interviewing? Yeah,
I mean, I would agree with that. 100% agree with that advice, because it's unlikely that you've got commitments, etc. So you can put in the hours. But it's more than just money. You need to be able to find a cultural fit, somewhere where you can get on and grow, someone that maybe you can find a mentor and grow with.
Yeah.
All of that is super important.
It's key. No one's looking for coaches now, are they? They're not looking for someone to mentor and learn from, but
I had a
as long as
mentor
the
when I
package
first
is there.
started
I mean, I
out.
did too. Yeah, I've had a mentor. I think everyone that I've known that's been successful has had that one individual. They might not be their boss or their manager, but they're there to help them, develop them, you know, and reward them for it, you know, with information. So, you know, I'd like to see that going on more often in the market, but unfortunately, there's less mentors nowadays. You know, everyone wants to be an influencer on LinkedIn and get paid for it, you know, rather than actually help people and benefit from that later in your career, you know.
I think in organisations there are potential mentors, but I think that the willingness from the person that's looking for the job and wants an actual career, they need to be willing and hungry to take on.
They need to want the mentor. Yeah.
They want to absorb the information.
It's hard to convince someone they still have to learn if they think they're the finished article.
Yeah.
Do you think you're the finished article, Mitch?
I'm never the finished article. I think that's the key. That is the key, isn't it? If you think you're the finished article, you know, you're already doing it wrong.
Flexible working, it's something that, I mean, I've been in the industry for a very long time and it was a complete and utter no-go. Since the pandemic, a lot of companies are using it as a way to lure in candidates and a lot of candidates are asking for it. What are your thoughts on flexible working?
We offer flexible working to anyone that's not in the front office.
Yep.
So back office, finance, compliance. It's basically 3 days in, 2 days off, and on rotation. Am I keen on it? No. I think that it has a detrimental effect on company culture.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work around company events, you know, the town hall, making it more interesting.
I've seen your cake bakes and things like that.
We've got a food festival
I love
next month. Because we want to encourage people, not just to come in because I want to see you at your desk, but more because I want you to get on with your colleagues, you know. It's a big thing that outside of your family and maybe the friends that you had from 20 years ago, or maybe if you're just a graduate, like 6 months ago, you know, the friends that you make are at work. They're the people that you spend most time with.
You spend more time with work people than you do your own families, yeah.
So how do you expect to build a relationship with these people on Zoom? It's virtually impossible. Virtually impossible. So, so that's why I don't like it that much. I understand that that's required. People are looking for it and people do want it. I understand the benefits of it from a personal perspective as well, that you get that extra time with your family, or maybe you get to do the kids drop off to school or something like that. But
see, when I started, it wasn't flexible working, but it's if you work hard and you do your numbers and you get things done, you make your own time, you know. It was, you know, if you needed to go 2 hours early to go to the dentist appointment or pick up a kid from school and stuff, like smash out the phones, do your work and get it done, you know. I think that that attitude needs to come back. You know, not to say that we shouldn't cater for flexible working, but like you say, I think it is causing challenges for business owners in sense of like culture. You know, I think it's becoming very costly as well. Like the amount of business owners that are now stressed because of the additional cost bills and just pressures from it all. You know, the additional tools you need to use, the time it now takes to monitor and go through KPIs, particularly, you know, if you, I mean, like you say, you've knocked the front office because obviously you need to create atmosphere, you need to create a environment for them to be successful in. Yeah. How can you do that calling from your bedroom at home, you know? I mean, I've worked from home for 2 years now and it's a struggle, you know, it's a struggle to get that energy in you. You know, I've got a coffee addiction now because it's the only way I get the energy. You know, I think that there has to be a balance, you know, because we can't keep doing 12-hour days in this industry. But, you know, I don't think going fully flexible and you know, candidates now expecting it as a demand should be the way that the market goes, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we make it very clear from the outset that we're not fully flexible and it depends on what role you have. I encourage all leaders and C-suite, etc., to come in as many days as possible. I'm in every day, without fail. So, you know.
Lead from the top.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's very important that the people at the top need to be leading from the top or from the front, for sure.
But it's amazing how many more people have like started coming in throughout the year. Some of it might be because of pressure that I might have applied indirectly. But a lot of it's because they're seeing the benefits of being around people that they can just get things done. Otherwise, you're scheduling calls, who's available then. You know, whereas if someone's across the office, I'm just shouting at them, saying, "Oh, have you done this yet?" You know, and it sounds strange, but there are a lot of benefits to that.
Yeah.
So
You forget how good it feels when you do go into the office. Like we work from home quite a lot at the moment, but when we see each other, the energy is just crazy. It's nice being around people. And
I think in the future you might also see, if they've got the option to work from home, you might see them sort of come back in more out of choice because of exactly what you said, rather than just taking it because it's there.
well, there's a lady on the compliance team, and she knows that a few of us live in the same sort of area. And when the tube strike was on Tuesday, so on Monday, she said to me, "Oh, I've got a suggestion." I said, "Okay." She goes, "Why don't we just do a pool taxi, and like, because we all live near each other and we can all still come into the office." She works from home like twice a week, and she had that suggestion. And I just said to her that, look, last time there was a strike, it took me like 4 hours to drive in. So I don't think we should do
It's
that.
not just you, it's everyone in London driving, isn't it? Yeah.
So, but for her to have that suggestion, I thought was great. You know.
Yeah, no, exactly. It says a lot about the company culture as well, that they want to make the effort to come in. So.
Yeah, people are enjoying it, I think, a bit more, and I think people are understanding the benefits of it, which all helps. So, and there's a little balance to it as well. So.